Hey everybody, my name is Craig DeWitt, and I'm excited to show you what agents can now do with Skyfire. So in this demo, you're going to see an agent be able to discover services that it's able to access and leverage via an MCP server. It's going to create an account on the fly, and then use existing auth to access the tools that it needs to complete the task, and then where necessary, it's going to facilitate a payment. All right, let's dive in. Here we built a simple interface for an agent in the Vercel Agent SDK. And the prompt it has is to go out and find data on pickup truck sales. Now this might be part of a larger, deeper research type use case where the information isn't available online and the agent has to go out, find it, and acquire it to then complete its task. Let's run the agent. Awesome. So the agent has completed its task, and now let's go step by step in terms of how this agent used Skyfire, interacted with an MCP server. So here you'll see the first thing the agent did was it used Skyfire's Find Seller tool. This allowed the agent to ask Skyfire, hey, is there anybody that accepts agents as users that has the information I'm looking for? And in this case, yes. A seller that is on Skyfire called CarbonArc, fantastic data company, has a service ID, and in this case, an MCP server. So what the agent can do now is it can install the MCP server. Awesome, pretty standard stuff. But now you hit a major wall that every single agent hits when it hits an MCP server, and that is the agent does not have the credentials or the auth to be able to access those tools. And so what that means is that a human being has to now go to the website, find the right plan, type in their information, fill out a form, validate email, maybe swipe a credit card, get an API key, and then plug that back into the agent, completely breaking any autonomy an agent needs to be able to complete its tasks. This is where Skyfire comes into play. Instead of going through that and breaking and asking a human to do it, the agent now calls Skyfire and says, Skyfire, create a KYA token for me that I can then deliver directly to CarbonArc. So the request is, with the agent's buyer tag and the seller's service ID that was returned to the agent, Skyfire gives that agent a standard JWT token. Now if we look inside the JWT token, here it is. What's most important about this is the payload of information that the agent now has in a signed token. And in this case, the verified information is on the agent's user. So in this case, it's Craig with my phone number, first name, last name, birthday, email, all the things that the service provider requires to be able to create an account in its existing IAM or user management tool. So the agent takes this token and passes it directly to the service. You can see here with the request. The KYA token is passed through, in this case with a password as well, so a human being can log into this in the future. And what the service provider does, it inspects that token, and then it delivers back, after creating an account, a standard auth access token to the agent. So if you look inside the access token that's delivered back to the agent, it is your standard payload, in this case auth0, that now allows the agent to authenticate and access the tools it needs to complete the job. So with this credentials and an account, the agent can now ask the service provider, hey, give me the specific data set for this information. They pass in the access token. Skyfire's not in this flow at all. The agent is acting as just a normal user. Now that it has the data set, the agent says, hey, give me a price of this data set, which they return back. In this case, it is a 20th of a cent. And now that the agent has auth, knows what it wants to buy, and knows the price, it's going to call Skyfire again to be able to complete a payment. So in this case, just like before, it's going to say, Skyfire, please create a payment token for me. And within that request, it's going to include the amount of that token, it's going to include the service that it's going to purchase, and then it's going to include its agent buyer tag. What Skyfire does is it returns back, again, standard JWT to the agent. Let's look inside what that JWT is. So the most important thing for this is the amount that's associated with that token. You can think of this as like a prepaid debit card. The agent has a balance that is associated with this token that now any receiver or merchant or service can accept and then charge either the full amount or partial payments up to that amount. So what the agent does is it now calls the service directly, delivering its existing auth, so the service knows who's logging in and trying to access this, the specific data set it's trying to buy, and a payment token along with this. So now the service is able to take that payment token and make a single API call to Skyfire, and that is charge token API. And when that is successfully done, the data set is now delivered to the agent. And what the agent can now do is complete its tasks. And so going through a visualization flow, this is outside of the scope of what Skyfire does, but you can see here, the agent was able to fully complete its task. Awesome. So in this case, the agent then took that truck information, created a Google Sheet, and then did a basic visualization on it. So what you're able to do with Skyfire now is give your agents the ability of discovering services that they can access immediately. They can then use their identity to be able to create accounts and then use existing auth to access the tools that are not pay gated. And then when required, an agent can check out using a really simple pay token, allowing a full end-to-end experience where agents have the autonomy to get tasks done by finding the services that they need, signing up, and paying for them.